The grand chandelier sparkled above the ballroom like a constellation captured in crystal. The music swelled, echoing off the golden walls, and every guest moved with practiced elegance, swirling in gowns of silk and suits of bespoke tailoring. But amid all this wealth and perfection, one little figure stood frozen at the edge of the dance floor, her small wheelchair barely moving under the weight of her hesitance. Her eyes scanned the room, shy, lonely, and longing for something she could not yet name. Everyone had been too busy to notice her, too busy to invite her in, and yet, in that moment, all the glitter of the room seemed unable to warm her heart. Her name was Maddie Parker, a bright-eyed girl of 10, with hair the color of chestnuts and a smile that could light up the darkest corners. But a cruel twist of fate had left her legs unable to carry her across the floor. And tonight, of all nights, her mother, a formidable billionaire named Victoria Parker, was watching from the sidelines. To Maddie, the ballroom felt like a prison of expectations, and she felt painfully small in a world that demanded she be something she couldn't yet be. And then he appeared. Ethan Reynolds, a man in his 40s with a gentle demeanor and tired hands, was pushing a mop cart down the edge of the ballroom, unnoticed by the crowd lost in their own grandeur. He was a janitor, a quiet man who had spent years cleaning floors and polishing windows, keeping the world looking perfect while his own life felt invisible. He wasn't supposed to be here, not really, yet fate, or perhaps kindness, had placed him directly in Maddie's line of sight. He glanced down at her, saw the way her little hands rested limply on her wheelchair, and something inside him stirred. Before Maddie could turn away or retreat further, Ethan approached her with a warm smile, the kind that reached deep into the soul, and whispered, "You matter. Would you like to dance?" he asked, his voice soft but firm, like he had known the answer even before he spoke. Maddie blinked. Her heart thumped wildly in her chest. She looked around, unsure, embarrassed. The other guests, the dancers in flowing gowns and polished shoes, hadn't even noticed her. And yet, here was this stranger, this janitor, offering her a chance to be seen. I can't," she whispered, shame and fear tangled in her words. Ethan shook his head gently. "I don't care about what you can or cannot do. I just care about dancing with you." That simple declaration shattered something inside her. For the first time in years, Maddie felt a glimmer of hope, a warmth that had nothing to do with wealth or appearances. She hesitated for a heartbeat, then allowed Ethan to guide her to the center of the ballroom. And as the first notes of a slow, lilting waltz filled the room, Maddie felt herself lift off the edge of despair, carried by the rhythm and Ethan's steady presence. The crowd began to notice. Whispers rippled across the room. A janitor dancing with a little girl in a wheelchair? And yet, there was something hypnotic about the sight, Ethan's rough hands carefully holding her, guiding her in gentle circles, his eyes never leaving hers. In that moment, the ballroom ceased to be a place of judgment and became a sanctuary of pure, unadulterated connection. At that moment, Victoria Parker finally moved forward, unable to stop herself. She had seen countless tutors, therapists, and nannies. Every attempt to make her daughter fit a world was too harsh, too shallow, too cold. And yet here was a man she had ignored for years, a man society would deem unworthy, offering her child something priceless, unconditional acceptance. Tears prickled Victoria's eyes as she watched Ethan twirl Maddie, not as a servant or a shadow in the background, but as someone who truly saw her daughter for who she was. Her heart clenched. She had spent her life chasing control, perfection, and success, often overlooking the simplest, most profound. Watching Ethan dance with Maddie was a revelation, a reminder that the heart sometimes knows more than the mind. The music swelled, and Maddie's laughter, soft and hesitant at first, grew louder and freer with every turn. She had never felt this alive, this visible, this celebrated, not for what she had, not for what she could do, but simply for being herself. Ethan's warmth was contagious. He moved with an authenticity that no ballroom etiquette could teach. The guests, initially scandalized, began to pause. Eyes softened, jaws loosened, and for a fleeting moment, the rigid walls of wealth and status cracked, letting humanity shine through. Ethan didn't see the wealth, the judgment, or the silent approval he lacked. He saw Maddie's smile, her wonder, her courage in the face of limitations. And Maddie, for the first time, didn't see a janitor. She saw a man who understood her heart without needing explanation, who saw past the surface to the core of who she was. Victoria Parker finally stepped closer. Her presence didn't startle Maddie. Instead, it grounded her. The mother knelt beside her daughter, wrapping her arms around her in a gentle embrace. For the first time, she whispered, not with authority, but with love, "I see you." The rest of the ballroom had fallen silent. Some guests looked embarrassed, others inspired. It was no longer about wealth or prestige, it was about humanity. About a little girl who had longed for someone to notice her, and a man who had chosen kindness over everything else. The contrast was so stark, so painfully beautiful, that it left a mark on everyone who witnessed it. After the song ended, the room erupted into hesitant applause. Guests slowly joined in, some wiping tears, some whispering to each other about the unusual scene they had just witnessed. Maddie beamed, flushed with excitement and gratitude. She leaned forward, resting her small hands on Ethan's shoulders, feeling safe and celebrated. Ethan smiled down at her quietly. Proud, he didn't seek recognition, applause, or reward. But in that moment, he understood something that the richest person in the room might never grasp. Kindness has a power that no amount of money or influence can buy. It transforms, it heals, it connects, and sometimes it surprises even those who believe they have seen everything. The evening eventually wound down, but the story had already taken root. Victoria stayed close to her daughter, holding her hand tighter, listening more, and appreciating the small joys she had once overlooked. She realized that the most extraordinary moments often arrive in the simplest forms: a janitor, a smile, a dance. And suddenly, the world felt both bigger and smaller, richer and more profound than she had ever imagined. Maddie, exhausted but happy, looked up at Ethan one last time before the night ended. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice full of sincerity and wonder. Ethan merely smiled, patting her hand gently. "Keep dancing," he said. "Life's too short not to." As he walked away, blending into the background once again, the echoes of that evening lingered in the hearts of everyone who had witnessed it. Kindness had triumphed, silently and powerfully, in a world too often obsessed with appearances. And sometimes the smallest gestures, an outstretched hand, a willingness to see another's heart, could change lives forever. If this story moved you, inspired you, or reminded you of the power of a simple act of kindness, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Every act of goodness deserves to be celebrated, and your support helps spread that message further. As the days turned into weeks, Maddie continued to dance, sometimes alone, sometimes with friends, but always with the memory of that night etched into her heart. Victoria, too, began to see the world differently, learning that wealth and status meant little compared to love and attention. And Ethan? He returned to his quiet, humble life, but with a sense of purpose renewed, knowing that even the smallest act could light a fire in someone's soul. Before this story concludes, I have a special request. Comment below about someone who has ever shown you unexpected kindness. Share your story and inspire others just like Ethan inspired Maddie. In the end, the lesson was simple but profound. A single act of kindness, especially when given selflessly and without expectation, can create ripples that touch lives far beyond what we can see. Maddie would remember Ethan's dance forever. Victoria would remember it. And anyone who witnessed it or hears of it can carry that message forward. Love, empathy, and courage matter more than status. And sometimes, the most unexpected people leave the deepest marks on our hearts. If this story touched your heart, please engage with this video, leave a comment, and share it with someone who might need to see the beauty of human kindness today.